Welcome to Martha Runs the World, a podcast with a new take on running, fitness, and all things health-oriented. I'm Martha Hughes, your host, and each week I present a new topic that is of interest to all runners. Hi, and welcome to episode 347 of Martha Runs the World. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I appreciate it. I always do each and every week. A while ago on a run, I started thinking about races that I loved but are no longer around. I combined that with a few from the show listeners and a few others that I found online, and it added up to make this week's episode. Now, I get a lot of show ideas from my runs. I get a lot of ideas from my runs. A lot of weird ideas, too, let me tell you. Why is it that we get some really cool thoughts from runs? And I'll probably do an episode on that too, but I know there's a book about that. I haven't read it, but there is one about that. But I can do that in the future. Every runner who participates in races has a race they consider their favorite. They look forward to this race, and if they can, they run it every year, if they like to do that sort of thing. We runners are usually creatures of habit, so we like to have the favorite race that we like to come back to. Not every runner does, but most of us do anyway. It may be one in our own town or city, and it may be one that's easy to get to where we challenge ourselves to get a PR or at least get a better time than last year. Or it may be one that's out of town that we plan for every year, that we make a vacation around or we do with friends or something like that. And it may be a special ritual that we do by ourselves. It may be that kind of a race. Regardless of the reason, it's very special for us. When that race is canceled for whatever reason, it feels like we lost a friend. There are a lot of reasons why races are discontinued. One reason is that the race is in its first year and the race director is new. This happened to one of the races I liked the first time I did it in its inaugural year, and the race director really didn't know what he was doing. So I think it ran one more time, and then that was the end of it, but I didn't do it the second time. Another might be logistics and a changing city. Maybe the city government has switched over from the last time, and the new government doesn't want to have the hassle of a race in the city, so they don't give the permits out. That happens a lot. That happened to one of the races that I had, not necessarily with the city, but it did happen. Another big reason is that the race director, owner mismanagement, things happen with the owners. They no longer really want to do races, or maybe they've had a problem in their personal life, so that takes effect and it affects the races. There are other anomalies that happen that are beyond control of the race, and that happened with another race that I did. And then the biggest reason, of course, in our existence is COVID. COVID is a huge reason why races are canceled, and the largest reason in recent history. As I talk about each race, I'm not going to get into the reasons more than just saying maybe why. If COVID caused a cancellation, I'll say that. Or if if a natural disaster caused a race to be canceled, such as one of the races I did, I'll mention that. But I'm not going to get into any personal reasons. This is not a race director bashing show. I'm not going to do that. I'll talk about the race itself, or if I participated in it, I'll talk about why I liked it. I'll bring up reviews of what runners liked about the race if I didn't do it. I'll quote from Martha Runs the World listeners if they contributed into it and they liked the race, that kind of thing. I'm not going to do any bashing, though, here. Trail and road races of all distances get canceled. I'm going to cover as much as I can. Some go back a few years and others are more recent. Some races were difficult to get information on, so if I missed any, please get in touch with me, martharunstheworld@gmail.com, and I'll cover them in a follow-up episode or as part of another episode in a follow-up. I'd love to do that if I left anything off that I should have covered. We shouldn't forget past races that we loved. There were reasons why we loved them, and that never goes away. All right, now let's get started. Skyline to the Sea. This is a race. It isn't completely canceled, I hope, but this is a race that I got my first DNF in this race, actually. This is a race that two different race companies did a race. They did a 50K and a marathon, and it's on a trail that starts at Highway 35, Skyline Boulevard in the peninsula just south of San Francisco, and ends at the Pacific Ocean. It's about 26 miles, so it's like the perfect distance for a marathon. They add in a few extra miles to make it a 50K. It isn't completely canceled, as I said, but who knows if it's going to be runnable again or if they're even going to hold it again. It's was an incredibly beautiful race. And if you drive down to it from San Francisco or from the San Francisco airport on 35, through the shade of the redwood trees and the green hills, perhaps dodging puffs of fog, you'll get some of the most beautiful countryside you will ever see. Plus, you'll get views of the San Francisco Bay down below. It's riding the ridge of the Santa Cruz Mountains. It's absolutely beautiful. It's a hard race. It goes down, it's mostly downhill because you're starting at the top of the ridge and you're ending at the ocean, but it's a hard race. It goes up and down on the hills, and it's technical trails, but you're going through redwood trees. You're going through Big Basin State Park. And I got my first DNF there because so many things went wrong in this race. I'm a back-of-the-pack runner, as you probably know, and we were chased by yellow jackets. I had stomach issues, and unbeknownst to me, my feet had grown enough that I lost both big toenails. Yeah, my shoes were too small. Here's a secret. As you get older, your feet grow. Who knew? I didn't know, but they did. So my shoes were way too small, and the last half of that race hurt a lot. But that didn't take away from my journey through the redwood trees, how beautiful they were. A lot of hikers on this trail. A lot of people would say hi and good luck. Now, unfortunately, in August of 2020, the CZU lightning fire attacked and destroyed a huge part of Big Basin State Park, and apparently a big part of this trail. So much of the park was lost, and then it was closed for a couple of years. It's now just opening up, with some of the areas changed forever. I have not been back there, so I don't know what it looks like right now. I figure once I'm retired, I'll be able to explore some of these areas more. I just don't have a car right now, so I can't get down there. But I figure in a couple of years, I'll be able to drive a lot more and to see what it's like. Bay Ridge Trail Series, San Francisco to Stinson Beach. And the last time I did this race, the last time I did Skyline to the Sea was 1998. 1998 was also the year that I did Bay Ridge Trail Series. This was a 28K distance race from Baker Beach, San Francisco to Stinson Beach in Marin County. It's a great distance. It's about 18 miles, just a really good distance, really nice race. You start at Baker Beach and then you go through the Presidio, over the Golden Gate Bridge, into the headlands, then past Muir Woods, and then up to by Mount Tamalpais, and then down the stairs of the Dipsea Trail, then down into Stinson Beach. I won't say it's the greatest produced race, but that's not why I loved it. I loved it because of the course itself. It's one I would do on my own, or at least part of it, and I have done parts of it on my own. I just love the area. I know the area really well, and I love that course very much. It's long enough to challenge me, but not so long as to feel completely destroyed. If another company wanted to do this race, or would do this race, if another race company would do this race, I would do it because I love it so much. What more could you ask? Mount Shasta Races, 1999. Now, I did this race in 1999. and I did the 50K distance. This was making it the second ultra distance I did and my first 50K. I did the timed distance just short of 50K a few months earlier, but this was my first actual 50K. Up to this point, it was my hardest race and one of the best. I'm going to say that my DNF of my 50 mile in June was the hardest race I ever did. And that was a lot shorter race, but it was still harder. I won't say this was the best produced race. This was not very well produced. It was the first race from the race director, and there are a lot of problems, but I'm not getting into that. It was just an incredible race in an incredible place. It went along the side of Mount Shasta. There were so many beautiful sights, and again, if someone wants to do this race, I would probably do it. It's just an amazing place. Even though my right hip, I hadn't had it replaced yet, it hurt the whole time. I don't care. It was still wonderful. There was a 50 mile, 50K, 30K, and half distance offered. It was held one more time, and then it disappeared. Headlands 100, the last time it was held was 2023, and I never had the chance to run this race. I had wanted to. I was signed up to do it, but because of my hip problems, I had to defer, and then the race vanished. If there's ever an iconic San Francisco Bay Area ultra, it was this race. I volunteered and watched it a few times, and I got to enjoy the spirit of the race. This brought in all kinds of runners, some superstar runners, some very well-known runners, some not so well-known runners, but it brought out the best in all runners. It was a tough race. It was a very hard race. It was great. It was a great race. It had gone on for many, many years, and I'll probably do an episode in the future about the race. Maybe. I'm not sure since it hasn't happened for a while and it doesn't go on now. It was very sad that it's gone. And I've gone into reasons for its ending in a past episode, so I won't go into it now. Very controversial reason. So I won't talk about it now. I may talk about it in the future. We'll see. Castle Peak 100K. That ended in 2022. Angie said, listener said, one needed a bit of speed, pacing oneself start to finish, poles, training runs, loved it. The Castle Peak 100K was much loved by those mountain lovers of the Sierra Nevada mountains in the Lake Tahoe area. The Donner Party mountain runners worked hard to produce a great race, so it was quite sad for all when it ended. And it looked like a very great race, very tough race, but how can you beat it? You're up in Lake Tahoe and you're enjoying these beautiful views, and you get a tough race besides. What more could you want? But I think logistics just put an end to it. It was just really, really hard to produce. The St. Luke's Via Marathon. This event in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania was permanently canceled after the COVID pandemic, and it was canceled in 2021. I think they did a virtual in 2020 like everyone else. I don't know if that even counts, does it? It had been a major fundraiser for a local nonprofit since 2008, but organizers decided its high cost was no longer justified as a fundraiser. From a review, scenic, shady, and a net descent drop of 240 feet made it an attractive qualifying run for the Boston Marathon. The half marathon starts at the marathon's midpoint, and it is run from Bethlehem to Easton. The 5K and kids run are held at Steel Sacks in historic South Bethlehem. Another reviewer on raceraves.com said, net 240-foot decline, absolutely gorgeous scenery run along river, creek, and canal system. First 5 to 6 miles, mostly street pavement, rest gravel dirt road, some single, some double track, not technical at all. Weather can be a bit warm, but very much potential PR race. Lots of support throughout race. Nike's Women Marathon. Now, if you know anything about me, you know I'm not a fan of Nike. I never ran this marathon, never wanted to be honest, because of Nike. I'm pretty much dedicated to my promise of not supporting Nike. However, if they did one thing right for women, it was this race in San Francisco. But in 2015, Nike decided to stop producing. What made it special was that only women ran it, and the San Francisco firemen handed out Tiffany necklaces to the finishers. There was a full and a half, and it got filled up so quickly. You had to be so fast to sign up. It was a very popular race, and they canceled it. They didn't want to do it anymore. So thanks, Nike. Thanks for not supporting women again. The Revel Mount Hood Marathon. Now, this popular downhill marathon was retired after the 2019 running. Organizers couldn't secure an agreement with local authorities in Oregon to host the 2021 race, and they ultimately retired it and several other races. Revel races are downhill based, made for runners to get their best times. They promote Boston qualifiers, while Boston made faster qualifying times for downhill races. So Revel races don't have the advantage they once had. Boston they just make it so difficult for people. I guess they need more spaces for the fundraising runners. Yes, they do. Yeah, see my thoughts on that in my Boston episode. And while it seems that a downhill race might be easier for the lungs, all downhill for 26.2 miles are one huge quad killer. Yes, your quads will not like you. After being impacted by COVID in 2020 and 2021, and then canceled in 2022 due to a surge in cases, the full marathon was replaced by a half marathon in 2023 and then retired for 2024. The race was affected by the pandemic, of course. Even the half was canceled at Mount Hood, so that's completely gone. Now, the Revel, if I mispronounced that, I apologize. Now, that still happens in various cities, but the advantage of going downhill is taken away because Boston has decreased the qualifying times for downhill races. Oops. Oh, well. Palos Verdes Marathon. The Palos Verdes Marathon was one of the oldest continuous marathons in America, but it appears to have discontinued this event. I didn't know anything about this event until I did research. Current running events in the area include the Palos Verdes Half Marathon, 10K and 5K, which still takes place along the scenic, hilly, and coastal routes of Rancho Palos Verdes. While the full marathon is no longer listed, the others offer stunning coastal views, challenging rolling hills, and a vibrant atmosphere for runners in shorter distances. Now, the Palos Verdes Marathon was first held in the 1920s. In 1928, Harry Chaka, a Hopi Indian, won the race, easily defeating a host of competitors. Chaka was from a boarding school for Native Americans, the Sherman Institute in Riverside. The head, Bert Jameson, had the boys run 10 miles every morning. Chaka beat all the other runners by a mile and a half. So it's tragic to lose such a storied event, in my opinion. There is so much history behind it. I'm really sorry to see that go. The Charleston Marathon. Following the COVID-19 pandemic, the full marathon was discontinued. While the event returned in 2023, it's a half marathon and remains so today. Now, the Rock and Roll Series. The Rock and Roll Series is a huge series that started out with both marathon and half marathon distances in a ton of locations worldwide. Many runners became fanatical about this series, and I know why. It's a great race series. It's well produced, expertly managed, and runners really do have a good time. They do a good job with it. I will say that. Runners will travel across the globe to do different races, and I remember that because of the San Francisco Rock and Roll Half that I did a couple times. Now, the San Francisco Half, the first time I ran it, the course was very, very hard. It was much more difficult than it was the second time. The first time I ran it, it started at Ocean Beach and ended at City Hall. And I had a really bad IT band at the time, which made it worse. But so the first half, you go from Ocean Beach, you go straight uphill, up Balboa, and then you go uphill, Lincoln, up through the Presidio. And I remember going past these two women from Nebraska, of all places. And one of them says, "I didn't know we had to go up a mountain." And I'm laughing at him going, "This is not a mountain. This is a hill. You should see our mountains." Sorry, this is not a mountain. So that was a really, really hard course. The second time they switched it to start at Fisherman's Wharf, which is much, much better. But they both crossed the Golden Gate Bridge, but the second one was much better. They have since moved it to San Jose, which I think the Rock and Roll Race Company considers it to be the same area, but it's not. San Jose is not San Francisco. Sorry. No. You discontinued San Francisco, you moved to San Jose. That's like 60 miles difference, not the same area at all. So they didn't include San Francisco in the cancellations, which they should have. But anyway, so they're not the same city by a long shot. All right. The Virginia Beach Rock and Roll Half, Lisa says, "I love that it was at the end of summer, Labor Day weekend, and the course ran through cool parts of the city, through a military reserve base, and ended running down the Virginia Beach boardwalk." Yeah, that would have been fun. Yeah, she really liked that race. Other cities that Rock and Roll Race Company canceled are Atlantic City, Medellin, Savannah, Seattle, Oaxaca, Bellevue, New Orleans, Liverpool, and San Antonio. And even though race companies like Rock and Roll have mostly moved away from full marathon participation has risen to pre-COVID levels. Marathon participation peaked in 2014 with 496,178 participants. Over the 4 years, participation slowly declined to 411,792. COVID made running impossible, but participation is up now. 4 years after COVID, marathon participation is up to 432,562 participants in 2024. So it's almost up to the same levels. It is growing again, and that is really a good sign. So we conclude that running has been on the rise since COVID, and it is only going to rise even more. So I don't understand I kind of do. It costs a lot of money to run marathons. They charge a lot of money for marathons, and who can put down $300 all the time for a marathon? It takes a lot of time to train, but people are doing it. That's the thing. People are spending the money for it, but these companies, these cities don't want to go through the hassle of doing it, and they should, because if people are willing to spend the money, why not? So I think these companies ought to think twice before canceling their marathons. And that's marathons. Ultras are rising even faster. So I'm probably going to address that in the future too, about the rise of these races and the rise of runners and what we can do about it. All right, so that is it. And that is, if I didn't cover your favorite race, you should get in touch with me at martharunstheworld@gmail.com and let me know, what is your favorite race that no longer happens, and what is it? Why was it your favorite race? And let me know. And the website is martharunstheworld.com. And thank you so much for joining me. I truly appreciate it. And on that note, let's tie up our shoelaces and go for a run.